Or
Yeah.
Miss, I typed them in the thing yesterday in the group.
Okay, I can go in and look. Uh, I know one of the questions, you ain't gonna like the answer. You were asked, I can tell you some things, I can't tell you everything. So you were asking about uh, the building principles using Earthship and the Cob House, and how are you able to lower the cost of the building? So the Earthship facility is in Taos, New Mexico, and I'm in Roy, New Mexico. So he's only about 2 hours away from me. So I've been to the site where Mike Reynolds is. Firstly, his blueprints are super expensive. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I even went up there and I saw the secretary. I'm like, yo, where's Mike? Because he needs to reduce the price on these blueprints. And they just looked at me like I was crazy. But ridiculous costs for the blueprints. Uh, that's one thing. The other thing is the materials that he uses. He says that, we're using recycled materials, and this is true, but it takes a lot of tires to build an Earthship, a lot of hours and a lot of time. Okay. So with Cob, uh, we're going to use clay, straw, sand, small rocks, water, and you're mixing it together. And basically, it is like a natural concrete. It will get hard like concrete. And when you build your walls, they have to be 18 inches to 3 feet thick. This will give you the thermal mass that you need to heat up the building and to keep it cool in the summer. Um, so basically, what I did is where he would take all of the tires and the berm and everything, I just replaced it with cob. Cob has been used all over the world. Timbuktu is actually Cob.
Mhm.
Hadramut, Yemen is actually Cob. Uh, all throughout the UK, those structures, that the old structures they have with the thatched roofs, those are Cob. They've stood for thousands of years. So um, they will stand, inshallah, for thousands more. And I just go off for a second. A lot of people might ask, they say, well, why don't you put rebar in the cob to make it stronger? Okay. You don't want to do that. The reason they use straw is because straw actually will move
Mm.
inside the structure if there's an earthquake. So it's seismic resistant. Where rebar will actually make the building shear. If there's movement, it will break off. So if you ever see any movies or any real earthquakes, when there's an earthquake, the building will just break and there will be like a long piece and it will fall off. With cob structures, you don't have this. But back to
Can I
Abraham.
just ask one thing about that? When it comes to a cob structure, like as far as height, is there a height limit to that?
The height limits are based on the zoning restrictions where you're at. They have a Cobb mansion in the UK. So it's a couple, stories. Um, Depending on where you live. New Mexico is a testing site. We have free range to do a lot of stuff, a lot of experimental design with housing here. Alhamdulillah, Mike Reynolds was actually responsible for that. He pushed and pushed and pushed,
Hmm.
and he went to the New Mexico legislature. I don't know if you've seen, there's a movie called Garbage Warrior. It's a documentary about his life and the Earthships, because he was an architect, then he lost his license. And then basically, when the tsunami hit, I forget what country, they invited him over and he rebuilt stuff for them. And that was like a huge embarrassment to the US because this foreign government has an American architect saving their people, and they're so appreciative, they reinstated his license. So now he's just doing whatever he wants. Um, so yeah, you can go high. You can go 1 story, 2 story, 3 story. Um, all you have to remember is that Cobb is load bearing, so you can have multiple floors. However, I wouldn't personally go above two. And the reason being is I'm thinking about the future. As you get older, do you really want to be climbing steps? If you get hurt, how are you getting upstairs? So it might be one or two floors. Okay. I prefer a ranch style house, everything on the first floor. It's just easier for the future, in my opinion. But if people want, a second story, place because the heat's going to rise and have their bedrooms up there and,
Right.
be more efficient, and then that's good.
You mentioned something, heat.
Yes.
That's so. Uh, I've looked at some things, different ways of, and they're using these cob houses. I looked it up, and I saw some of the houses you're talking about, even 3 stories. It might even be more. I used one as a picture on one of our videos as a thumbnail, but
Yes.
I think that one was like 3 stories, and a pretty sizable one. It looked like it was at least 4,500 square feet or something in that order, at least 3,800, which is, But anyway, how about heating? Heating in these type of structures, because what I'm looking at is that this is probably a very economical way of building. Additionally, it allows you to incorporate some features that you would not find in a traditionally built home. But the question of heating, how is that preferably done in a cob house, let's say?
Okay. So with a Cobb house, and I'm going to just use North America as the example, because I don't know if you have anybody who just jumped in and they're in the UK or in the Southern Hemisphere, because it changes there. So we want to have the south side of the building with as much glass as possible. So we have passive solar energy. The sun is coming in and it's heating up the thermal mass, which is the cob. Basically, it gets hot during the day and that energy is released at night. Now, being that the sun is higher in the summer, you don't have the direct sunlight coming in the glass, and it's up here, so your house will stay cooler. Now, inside, a lot of times people have a wood stove or another type of oven or stove to heat a thermal mass, and it's basically cob around the stove. That heats up and it releases energy uh, into the building. Also, the north facing wall will be built with straw bale. Straw bale is an insulator and it will increase the R value of the house. Now, I need the part that I was saying about some things that I took from the Earthship and the Cobb House to improve upon it is the insulation factor. And I can't go into great detail because it's part of my PhD research, and it's never been done before. However, the uh, the people said that my theory was sound, so basically I just have to do it. And if I put it out there now and somebody steals my stuff, I'll be kind of upset. So,
Right,
but
right.
I found a way, inshallah, to increase the insulation value of the structure without jeopardizing structural integrity. So no more straw bales would be needed. Actually, the building would be stronger.
How about those structures that and by the way, everyone, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to pop in and ask them. But how there was a type in the Cobb house. There's a type of bench, and you might know the name of it. It escapes me for the moment, but it's built into the Cobb house, into the wall, into the perimeter wall, and it has like a what looks like a an oven built in where the wood goes to heat, and it heats that entire length of that particular whatever it's called, and it radiate that heat is stored and radiated through the house for, like they say, up to 12, maybe even 24 hours, depending on the structure and how it's built. And I actually watched one being built. Um, and that's another type of heating element. I've also seen them with split units put on the side of the cob house. I've also, of course, seen them with the wood burning ovens kind of built into a, like you were saying, surrounded by cob, basically, which it heats up in the stores and radiates that energy, that heat out.
You just build like that. So like you're saying, the bench and basically the flue will go through the bench and
Right.
come out in another part of the house. So you have your fire, it heats up the bench. You're just sitting there. You're warm and toasty. The house is, warm and toasty. And yeah, it's just a win-win for everybody. You can do the same thing with your bed. If you wanted to have a heated bed, you can just have the flue going through your bed.
Right, right, right,
Um,
right.
there's just so many things that you can do because you're using that thermal mass to capture and release heat.
Excellent, excellent. Hanif, you had a bunch of questions, man. Come on,
Oh,
let's and anyone
Yeah,
else,
I got
please.
some. I got some, inshallah.
I'm
Actually, I wanted to go back to that heating and cooling issue. Um, the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to that passive heating and cooling from the geothermal or the thermal mass, that doesn't really account for extreme changes in weather. Like would something like this work like up north, like in Iowa or those places, or if it's like extremely hot? Well, I know it works if it's extremely hot because they were building in Arizona. But like I'm more concerned about the north because we haven't decided on a place yet that we're going to use to build these structures. So in a scenario like that, supplementing the heating and cooling with something like geothermal heating and cooling, would that be a solution? Or what do you think of geothermal heating cooling yourself and whatnot? Because I kind of lean towards that a lot due to the fact of it being something that's seems like it's easy to maintain once it's put into place.
okay, with the geothermal heating and cooling, that's part of the Earthship design. So the Earthships are located in Taos, New Mexico. They're basically at 10,000 feet above sea level. Um, for a lot of people, they seem to think that New Mexico is like hot. It's not. Okay. So the far south is hot down at White Sands and everything. Like earlier this week, it was like 75 degrees down there. Okay. But Taos, we have ski resorts there. There's Red River, Taos. And anyway, they're at 10,000 feet. They have snow. They get snow as early as, what was it, June. So it's cold there. The germo, technology is basically, an underground tube going deep enough where the temperature is pretty much constant, going out far enough to another location. So the cool air has a chance to warm up, or the hot air is taken out. Um, if you get a chance, really watch the the documentary Garbage Warrior. Mike does a pretty good detail explaining and showing everything like there. So basically, they'll have a panel that they drop down if the to adjust the temperature. So if
right.
it's getting too cool, they can just close the panel and no more cool air will come in. And it's usually located like in the bedroom. Or if they need more, they can just it's just like a foot, by a foot wooden piece. They just lift it up, more cool air comes through. But geothermal technology is beneficial. If you can use it, I would use it. Each type of natural building structure is going to be different for your location. So, for example, I wouldn't suggest building a cob house in a very rainy area. One, cob is a natural, substance made of basically mud, even though you put an earthen plaster on it. So when I was studying cob house building in the UK, they have a saying that it should have a big hat and boots. And what they mean by a big hat is it has to have a big overhang on the building. So when it does rain, the rain will come off and come down. It won't come at an angle and hit the building and start to make the building deteriorate. And the boots are either brick, stone, limecrete or some other type of breathing material that it's high enough off so when the water does hit the ground, it doesn't splash back and hit the building, it hits the stone. Um, but in the north, what state are you in?
Ohio.
Oh, Ohio. Okay. So yeah, you're fine. You could do Cobb there. That's fine. You don't have too much rain. Yeah, that's fine there.
Yeah, we're looking, and just to answer the question, I did get this question several times. Where will this project like kind of settle and happen? And we're looking at the Mid-Atlantic states, excluding what's New York and New Jersey. So Pennsylvania to North Carolina, we're looking at that Mid-Atlantic range there. It's probably a little different than than the official description of Mid-Atlantic, because I always see New York and New Jersey. I'm like, that's not. I wouldn't put that in there. So Pennsylvania to North Carolina, and we're looking at also, I mean, we're talking about cob houses, but we've also talked about other forms of construction. We really want to. We're looking for land that will allow us to be able to have a flexibility in what type of structures we build, whether we want to bring onto the property um, uh, modular homes, uh, whether they're double wide, you want to put trailer home, whether you want to. In my case, I want to build a barn dominium. I'm leaning more into barn because I can. It's now if I were going to build a cob house, I'd have to lean heavily on our brother Sharif. If I want to build a barn dominium, I could. Or a traditional construction, because we both worked in traditional construction, and of course he'd be useful in understanding concrete. I understand you were working with concrete for quite a while. Well, at least you drove you handled the pump truck, the pump device, right, for pumping.
Yes.
Right. So we all have some, and that's what we're looking for too. But anyway, not to take too much of the time, because I want to give really our guest time to answer questions and share his experience with, because they've been doing this project. They're actually in the project. It's years old. We're trying to start a project, and so one of the things I'm trying to get is that brain trust built. So our brother Sharif is the is our brain trust, and we looking to add other experienced people who are working with projects, not who dreamed of one, not who maybe we did one, but I'm more looking for people who are actively involved in those fields of information, of knowledge that will apply to what we're doing, right? um, so, so we want to have a variety of different types of homes or structures we want to be able to build. Whether they're a brick house, we're looking to be able to make our own bricks. That's one thing, and that would come into play also when with some of the other stuff. But anyway, we're looking at having flexibility in that. Uh, so that's what I have to say about that, and I hope that answered the question. Where we're not quite narrowed down. We won't know that until we get the minimum of 25 families, because at that point, phase or the second half of phase one of this project kicks in, which is actually finding the land. And we do have real estate buyers agents who will be looking for land that suits our purpose, so that we're not have and also we'll be looking, but we're going to have professionals out there looking for land that suits our purpose, so that when it comes to us, we have the ability to move forward on it like that. So we're not looking at land that doesn't suit our purpose and wasting a lot of time. But anyway, go ahead. Any other questions? I'm actually in the Zoom, rather in the Telegram right now, so I'm looking for any questions. But go ahead.
Well, Hanif had another question here. He said, how to choose an architect and for such a house and cost. Um, the the architect part is really not necessary. Cobb is designed, if you're going to go with Cobb, uh, is designed for you to do it. You really don't need somebody to do your house for you. I mean, this is a lost thing. I mean, if we go back 200 years ago, people weren't paying people to build their houses. They were doing them themselves. Uh, Cob is super easy. It was me, my wife, my father-in-law, my kids. And in a day, everybody understood basic building techniques. And part of the course is the instructor, which is crazy. We had to pay them, but we're building their house. Yes. We paid
That's how
them
that
to build their
works.
house. I can actually, I'll send pictures in the group. And I can tell you the section of the house that we built. And it's a beautiful house, but so we get experience on real houses, but only like after a day, you understand it. It's so basic. So yeah, you just have to get some plans, and that depends on where you are. You know, it's going to change by state by state.
I mean, okay, so how do you factor in like the I guess for lack of a better word, the science behind architectural design that goes into planning when you try to build something like uh, rain flow, soil, how big the structure should be to hold the weight, and all these other things that architects know that someone like me probably wouldn't.
Okay, so that's real simple. There's the Cobb Cottage Company. They're in Oregon. They have a book. It's only like this thick. It's real basic. Your walls must be 18 inches to 3 feet thick. That's enough for load bearing. Okay, so then you can go multiple stories. And it also gives you enough thermal mass for heating and cooling. Um, they explain to you how to dig out the area, what type of foundation has to go in, everything. Uh, you could read this book in a weekend, and I'm not even exaggerating. Watch a couple YouTube videos, and you would feel confident that you could do it yourself. And then you would actually go and try it. So the first structure that they teach you to do in the course is to build a Cob oven, which is a nice project. If you got kids, you go out in the backyard, you build a Cob oven, then you can make pizza. And with a Cob oven, it takes 1 minute to make a pizza. Once you have, your dough and everything, cheese on there, it's in for 30 seconds. You pull it out, you turn it, another 30 seconds, your pizza is done. I got a video of that too when we're there, because I paid this lady to build her house and she gave us lunch, pizza. But it's real good. So you learn how to do that, and then you feel confident because you're like, wow, I can build this oven. It's the same exact thing as building a house. And you go, the books and videos will explain how high you can go each day, because you have to give it a chance to dry. And when you have multiple levels, like different days of work, you'll basically take your fingers and you'll put it into the cob. So when you put the next layer in, it has something to lock to. It's like Legos. So a lot of the things that, we did as kids, building forts, building clay or little mud structures, and having, your matchbox cars go around. These same things that you did as a kid, you'll see when you actually build a cob house. You were already trained for it. I mean, I'm that confident because I went there. I was like, man, this is easy. So no problem. Trust me on that one. Okay, we did a geothermal. Uh, and yeah, if you decide to do cob, I will give you my special mix design. But until then, it gets none. Okay, did you have anything else? I'm trying to see here. Composting toilet. Okay. I'm going to say this, and a lot of people will be like, no. So there are a bunch of companies out there that have composting toilets, and they range from probably $900 to like $3,000. And my idea of homesteading was to have a better quality of life, save money, work less. So the money that I do have, I can make it go farther. So that being said, I went with the basic composting toilet design. And that is a 5-gallon bucket, sawdust, and a toilet lid. I built a frame around the 5-gallon bucket out of 2x6s. So it's sturdy, it's solid. Uh, and that's it. So my composting toilet cost me under $20. Uh, that bucket has to be just taken out daily. It goes into a humanoid receptacle, which is 1 yard by 1 yard by 1 yard deep, has straw on the bottom. You dump it, you cover it up with more straw, clean out your bucket, add that water, you're done. And you put more straw, sawdust in it, you can use it again. The systems that you buy, everybody that I know who's had one has said there has been some type of smell. But with the bucket system, there has never been a smell. If you do have a smell, you just add more dry matter, which is sawdust.
Sawdust, right?
It's basically the same thing as kitty litter.
Mm-hmm. You know, the one of the things is we should have. I'm projecting if we following some of the construction methods. By the way, I was mentioning um, a different type of construction we're going to be using. A lot of it is going to use the timber that is actually on the land. One of the things we're really looking for is timbered land. We don't want raw land. We want land with usable timber so we can create our own joist and 2x4s and support beams and things like that right out of there. If you join our group, and I'll say, please, if anyone here who hasn't joined our Telegram group, please do. You'll see a lot of videos, including the ones that the Sharif put in there about cob houses and permaculture and so forth. They're all there. A lot of information. You could spend hours just following that, learning from that information. But I also put some in, like for instance, about a pole barn house. You'll find me showing some guys, 6 guys, I think there were 3 framing carpenters and 3 hands-on guys. They framed out a 1,400 square foot house in 8 hours. Of course, it was just framed out, and that was with the metal roof, and so and also the pole barn construction. The guy who built the pole barn, it's a very excellent video. He takes you through the whole process of how much it cost him. He built a 2,300 square foot single level, like the brother was saying, and I agree with him. Keep it on one level. I'm gonna go 2 levels, okay, level and a half, right, with the pole barn with a higher roof and have a big ceiling with the vaulted ceiling. That's my dream, okay. Whether I might end up with something like my man built here, but but anyway. What my point is that he built it for $87,000, 80 and change. He goes through the whole list of itemizing what it cost him. Of course, that's going to vary depending on where you are in the country, how much it's going to cost you for different materials. But a lot of that cost we're looking to offset by utilizing things on the property, the wood, the earth, creating our own bricks, supplementing our cement and things like that. So there's a lot we can do to kind of lessen that cost. He also goes through a list showing this is how I did it, but this is where you can save. And I think he ended up cutting off about $20,000 if you wanted to do this other way, which had to do with just backing off on some of the premium stuff that he did. And he got in at just under 90,000. You could actually get in for about 60. That all sounds, and it's a very nice looking home. So if you're there, just scroll up, and the title of the video is "Cost to Build Pole Barn House." And they're not. It's not. Again, it's something that we can do ourselves. We don't have to call in contractors, but we do need, and as I keep saying, we need some skilled people, like the skills that our brother Sharif brings to the table: framing carpenters, electricians, plumbers. A lot of that stuff I've done. I've worked in construction for over 20 years, about 25 years, in fact. So have, and I've run projects. I've managed projects. Project management is one of the things that comes with this whole deal. We're going to have project managers in our group. I am one. There'll be others who are project managers who are going to be able to. So if you're overseas or you're in another state, or what have you, you can still take part in this project and build your home and know that you're in good hands in terms of you getting their regular updates. When I say regular, not every month. I'm talking about weekly updates and meetings with your project manager, and and also getting pictures and video and whatever the case might be to show you what's going on, so that you can select. I like these cabinets as opposed to those. Those are a little more, but I'll take, whatever, right? So that's the kind of, hopefully we're going to bring it along like that. But these pole barn houses, they can go up inside of 45 days. You're in the finishing works phase. You're painting and putting down tile or whatever, putting in your countertops and what have you. So definitely potential is great. And I see, as I mentioned, and some people might question, so how can you build a masjid for $25,000? I actually think you can build it for less, but you can, because it's just, throw it up. And that's what I was saying. If we got 25 families, 1,000, between $500 to $800 per family, maybe 1,000 per family, you've got enough to throw up a very nice masjid and have a wudu, like what they do in Saudi. You have a section outside of the masjid itself where you can have toilets, wudu stations, ready, and showers if you want, there to go. And so there's a lot that's going to go into this. It's not going to happen without us coming together and planning. Someone else asked whether or not how certain things were going to be. I can't talk about those things. Now, I can talk about my ideas, but I cannot talk about when we have those 25 families or better in place. We're going to make that decision, and that's going to be a decision that we're going to come together and decide. And then there are going to be some individual decisions to be made. What type of house do I want to build? Do I want a cob house? Do I want a traditional stick frame house? Do I want to have a barndominium like me, or what have you? Or do I want to throw up what is it? A prefab, or what have you? It's your choice. And maybe at some point, was it you, Sharif, that mentioned the 3D built homes? I know someone had mentioned the 3D built homes. If you're looking at that technology is getting cheaper and cheaper.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff that we can do, but it all starts with us, the different phases that we're putting in place. And that is the first phase. First phase is getting the families committed and locating the property. Once we identify and purchase the land, it's on and popping, as they say, right? Because at that point we can begin the actual surveys, home site identification and marking. We can start, actually, there's some, if you look into the group, you'll see there's very inexpensive products, machinery for milling our own lumber. So we start taking down those trees and milling our own lumber. Additionally, there's inexpensive machine. It's about $8,000 for making our own brick. They even have them cheaper, but the one that I saw, that I said, kind of in the middle there, about $8,000, and we start making our own brick. Right off of the land. Of course, we're going to have to buy the cement that's part of that mix, and it depends on what type of dirt or earth you're dealing with, how much cement. Some mixes are 10%, some may be 20 to 30% mix grade, but that's something, of course, also to be determined beyond and as we start into that process. Um, any other questions or anything?
There was
I'm
actually
looking.
some I need to answer that came up.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the question was about sawdust. What is the option if you don't have sawdust? Uh, you can use pretty much any type of dry matter. You can actually use grass. And we had a
Right,
situation
that's right.
before where we didn't have sawdust available. It was like, oh man, grass was cut, it was dry. You can just use that same exact thing. You cover, and the best situation, the word I can use is like kitty litter. You're just covering your waste, and that matter absorbs the smell, and you have nothing to worry about. Um, but we get sawdust for free. I try to find places where I can get everything for free.
Hmm.
So we have this business. It's called Old Wood, and they are a lumber company. They make flooring, and they are more than happy for us to take away their sawdust.
Yes.
So I go there and I pick it up and I take it away. And everybody in my community now just goes there. And those totes that you can buy in Walmart, you just go there, you fill those up, and you have a tote. And a tote might last, say, a family of four for a week. So you can just do your calculations like that. So what I do is every time I go to Walmart, or almost every time, I buy more and more totes, and then I get more and more sawdust, and then I store it in my shed. So I have a bunch of totes. So now I only have to go, say, every 3 months to get sawdust because I get it for free. Um,
Let me interject just a second here.
sure.
When I talked about milling the lumber, if we're cutting trees and we have a chipper, I used to have a chipper. I didn't have any use for it. I sold it. Right? It could chip up to 3 inch, 3 inch in diameter branches. Right? You create your own sawdust. We're taking down trees and we're milling lumber. Believe me, we'll have more than enough sawdust for those, for that use. But also, there's the things that Sharif was mentioning. But I just wanted to say that we're looking at clear every home site that we clear. And if we find the land, and I'm hoping and praying out, what I've been looking at is really timbered land that as we remove trees and we're creating home sites to build on, we're gonna have more trees, a lot of lumber, and more sawdust than we could probably go through. Especially if you're eating a good diet, you won't need that much. And hopefully our diets will be good because we're talking about raising our own and growing our own. But go ahead, Sharif. I'm sorry, I just wanted to
No, no,
interject
no,
there.
alhamdulillah. But even from the state, the state is going out and they're doing the
That's right.
highway,
That's
and
right.
they get those trees, and they mulch all that stuff. So at our local dump, they have a mountain, and actually on my YouTube channel, I got a video about that. I go there and I get free mulch. Okay,
Hmm.
you could
That's
use
right.
that
Same
also.
thing
So I
here.
use that for gardening too. So always look for free. That's your first source.
Right.
Because they do sell like sawdust and wood shavings at Tractor Supply. But you know, free. Free is my friend.
Free is good.
Um, we had some here about earth bags. Yes. Um, alhamdulillah, like I said, I'm in New Mexico, and we have all different types of natural building here. There is a YouTube channel, My Little Homestead. It's a family. They do earth bag construction. It's the parents and then their kids, and each one of their kids basically has their own little house. They're about 2.5 hours away from me, also. Um, they built houses for as low as like $5,000.
Hmm.
Um, and you think about it, if you got kids, uh, and they're like, say, just hitting their teens, go to your house. Just go to your house.
Not go to your
You
room.
know,
Go to your
you
house.
got to go to your room. Just go to your house. But you have everybody, close.
Hmm.
So like a traditional, like say, like a African like the Abuma, like the village.
Right.
Everybody is like connected, like right there, so everybody has their own little space, their own dwelling. This is going to teach your kids responsibility. They're going to learn the building techniques because as this family did, all of the kids had to help in the building process. I got another one here.
Let me just interject again, Sharif,
Okay.
please. One, because that's an important point. Teaching our children these things. So, in that process of framing out these homes and running the electricity and doing the plumbing, we want to run apprenticeship programs alongside of that so that as we are building our homes and doing all those various trades that are encompassed in that, hanging sheetrock, drywall, finishing the sheetrock, whatever, right? All of that, we have apprentices so that at some point, and it does 3 or 4 houses down the line, they become more and more proficient at this, and they're able to. You're able to replicate that team, and now you're able to do twice as much. But additionally, we're talking about being able to hire these services out where our people will be able to go, and we already have an evidence. We create a portfolio, a website of what we're doing, showing just that construction phase, how we come in, we lay the pad, frame the house, blah blah blah, all of that, and how that process works. And now you got teams you can deploy. Right, you hit them with your framing team. They go there like those guys that framed out that house in 8 hours. It might take them 2 days. Those guys are great. Those guys were hustlers. We'd love to be at that point. But the point is that frame it out, and now those guys leave and go to another site, and behind them comes your interior finishing guys, or rather the mechanical guys who come in and do the plumbing, the electricity, and so forth, and they do that in a couple of days, and so you end up bringing money into the community and creating greater wealth from the those who are participating. But go ahead, another advantage to this, inshallah.
Yes. And just like you're saying, so this group of people with their kids, the oldest kid got the first house,
Hmm.
then the next and the next. So the youngest one is a girl. Her house is the best. They got all that experience from the brothers and sister doing their houses. Hers is beautiful.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, the more you practice, the better you are. So I'll tell you a funny story. So um, let me ask a question to the group here. Where am I right now? Does anybody know where am I? Not the state. Where am I at this very moment? Come on, give me a guess. Come on, Hanif. Give, Abu Kanaz, come on, get a guess. Where am I?
I'm gonna say outside in the field or something.
No, no, I got a wall. I got a
Oh, that
yellow.
is a real wall. I thought that might have been some effect or something.
Not a,
Okay.
it's it's from Walmart. You know the in the sewing section, those pieces of material.
Okay. Okay. All right. Living room.
I'm in a shipping container.
Okay.
Okay, so my shipping container office, uh, and I'm gonna put a picture in the group from the outside. It's gonna be an old picture, but my shipping container. So it's 40 feet long, 8 feet wide. It's a high cube. It's 9.5 feet high. Spray foam insulation. I have solar panels on the outside, battery bank here on the floor, inverter, charge controller. Um, and this is how we live off grid. And the first time doing it was a little bit difficult. Here's a picture of it. It's coming to the group. Maybe okay, maybe I didn't say. There it is. The first time I did one of these, it was a little difficult. The next one I did was easier. After that was easier. Now we can make offices like just in a couple hours. Uh, so my dear beloved brother, Dr.
Yeah.
Khalid Green, we were setting his up. Usually I set up 12-volt systems, and he wanted a 24-volt system.
Okay.
Never set a 24-volt system up before. but I knew how to do the 12. And we joke about it because I blew up a battery. We was
Whoa.
going on the connections. It was just boom. And alhamdulillah, we were sick. I mean,
Allah
you know,
Akbar.
Allah protected us. But it was a flash like I've never seen before. And the battery terminal just disintegrated.
Subhanallah.
But we don't make that mistake anymore. So, you know, we joke now because I have the skills. I taught him. I taught the other brother and the other brother. We have our own little team now to go out, like you were saying, to just go out to other places and to replicate it. We can do it a lot faster now.
Right. Right.
So, but yeah, uh, if you're going to do some electrical stuff, there's a great YouTuber, Will Pros. Will, and his last name is Pros, Prowse. He's a young guy, but his videos are the best. He gives you step by step on how to make an off-grid solar array, how to power like anything, which panels are better than others, which batteries are better. Um, you know, I'm a firm believer of not trying to reproduce something if somebody else has done a great job. So I just tell people, go look at his videos. They are excellent. And I even go back and I refer to them and I refresh myself by watching his videos over and over again.
I'm gonna ask you to drop links so those of us who don't have a bad memory like myself, uh, we can just visit those pages because this information you're sharing is very valuable, and I appreciate you taking this time. He's and by the way, this is our resident brain trust. That's the title I've given you. The resident. You know how they have resident scholar. This is our resident brain trust right here. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So I see here in the group, somebody was talking about, okay, the sawdust issue and leaves and outhouses. Now they probably know, but I just want to make it clear for the rest of the group that composting toilets and outhouses are totally different. Totally different. With an outhouse, you know, you're going to dig down and you're going to have like a vault and you're going to go to the bathroom and there's going to be smell and, you know, all these things. I remember going to an outhouse at my grandmother's in Pennsylvania, right on the Lancaster and Chester County border with the Amish. I never want to go there again. Never. But with composting toilets, there is no smell, there is no vault. Totally different. But I'm sure the person who said, you know, was making that comment knows that, but just so everybody else knows. See if there's anything else here. Okay, that's there. Okay, any other questions? I don't want to just jump to something.
Oh, I see.
I got a question.
Oh, somebody got it. Will Pros. Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Yeah, I see you, Joanne. I was just asking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
For me?
Yeah, whoever has the questions, Tafaddalah.
Okay, yeah, that was me. How do you source your batteries for your solar panels and things like that? Where do you guys get those from?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you how I started and then where I am now. Okay. So originally we went to Walmart and we got marine batteries. Marine batteries you can use. They're cheaper. They might be about $80 per battery. And they have a life expectancy of 5 years. Okay. Which is not ideal. Then we went to a sealed gel battery. I had to look here because I have the old batteries from the house for my office. Okay, so it's a sealed gel battery. We got them off of Amazon, and they were like $125, $150 for each battery, and they got a life expectancy of like 6 to 8 years. Now and then there was another battery. We tried one of them, but the batteries that I use now, and I think I got a picture from the brother's setup or from my setup. It's a chin battery. These batteries are the best batteries on the market. They cost more, but technically they're the same price because when you add up, they're good for 10 years. You can take these batteries down to 0 because regular batteries, all the other ones, you can only discharge 50%. And if I jump to something and you don't understand, please stop me because I forget sometimes that, everybody doesn't understand what I know. Um, so with solar technology, you can usually only discharge your battery, meaning only use 50% of it. If you go below 50%, you'll damage your battery and it will never fully charge to its maximum potential. But with a chin battery, it's a Life Pro. You can take those down to 0 and you can still use them, no problem. They're good for 10 years. I just put a picture here in the group and you can see it. And get them off Amazon. This particular battery, one battery cost about $1,000, but is equivalent to 6 of the other batteries.
Okay.
So it's definitely worth it because if you go below 50% by accident, just something happens, you just destroyed your batteries. So this, you can take it down to 0 and it's just going to boom, pop back once it recharges, no problem.
Excellent.
When you design your solar array, you want to make sure that you have enough battery storage that if you had no sun for 3 days, you would be okay. That's how big your battery bank should be. If it's smaller than that, you could run into a problem because, 2 rainy days in a row, you'd be like, then you start stressing about, okay, what am I going to do? Do I unplug this? Do I unplug that?
Right.
Now, there are certain things you can do to limp along. You can unplug your freezer at night because the temperature naturally is a little bit cooler, and just don't open it. You won't be opening your freezer.
Right.
And then you just plug it back in, during the day. I've had to do that. So that's how I know because my battery array was too small. Like I said, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. But yeah, go with the bigger batteries and a better system. So somebody's asking, where do you see the pictures? The Telegram group. I'm sorry. I've been putting pictures in the Telegram group.
Do you supplement the energy source, like using like solar? Not, I mean the solar. Do you supplement it with like wind or anything like that, or?
I have a wind turbine, but I haven't put it up yet. So right now, I mean, I have enough power, but I need to put the wind turbine up because I have the older batteries from my house, which are like on their last leg. So during the day, I have no problem, because I teach online and that's what I do. But at night, on Thursday nights, it's like a little tradition for me and my son. He's 9. We have like, sleepovers in my office. So, we got here, I got a big screen TV for free. So I'm telling you, free is my friend. So I got that there, and then we'll watch videos or different things. So with the wind turbine, I could actually generate power at night. So I need to get that set up because yesterday he just got on me like, "Yo, Dad, we doing it tonight? We doing it tonight?" I'm like, "Chill."
Did you make that yourself, or did you buy a setup or a kit or something like that?
I bought one. There was a super sale on Amazon last year, so I'm like, I'm going to get it and try it. Usually, what I do is if it's some technology that I'm not aware of or I don't know how to do something, I buy it the first time. I look at it, I take it apart, and then I try to replicate it. So in 2013, I bought a solar oven. Maybe you've seen those before. Uh, for those who haven't, it's basically a box, and then one side is glass, and then you tilt it on an angle, and then the sun comes in, and you can cook. I mean, it gets hot in there. You can actually, I mean, it's like a slow cooker, basically.
Right.
Um, when I saw it, I'm like, man, I can make this. It's real simple, but I bought the first one. I would never buy another one. You know, I'll just make them now. So yeah, buy the first time and then make afterwards.
Okay, so when you're living in remote areas, which I'm guessing is where most of these communities are, how reliable is internet connection? Do you guys use satellite, or how does that work?
I mean, I'm telling you, I was blessed, bro, blessed beyond belief. So in New Mexico, they had a grant to get internet service to all the rural communities. Okay. I have fiber optic line. My internet speed is faster than people in the city. Like we can get gigabyte service here. So, and they did all the work for free. They came out, they trenched all the lines, dropped the cables, came out, did everything. Um, I have a local technician that's only 5 miles away. If I ever have a problem, I got his phone number. I just call him up. I'm like, Phil, my internet's down, such and such. Can you help me out? He's giving me uh, backup batteries to in case there's a problem. So, you know, I hooked him up with some pizza and some natural products that my daughters made, you know, with they make soap and shea butter and rubs and healing salves. I'm like, here, take that, man.
Yes, that's right. You know, that's a good question, Hanif. One of the things I'd like to say is that we have a number of skills in our group, and inshallah will be joining us. But one of the things I was thinking about is because, okay, where's the land? We have the ability to take and set up satellite microwave. I'm sorry, satellites. To set up antennas. So if we can find, because this is one of the projects we were doing in Kazakhstan, was to survey the area. We had about, I think it was about 20 kilometers where the farm is from the closest town, right? And basically, in that town, we're going to rent the space. You know how they have these, you see these buildings and they have antenna, microwave antenna up there. You know, you throw up your antenna, you're connected, you have your small, your you have your fiber, your connection, your internet connection, whatever speed it is. You have your fiber connected to it, and you're able to, long as you have clear line of sight at that height, where, and that's why you see those on tall buildings, and you set up your antenna to at your other location. If it's not within that space, you can, set up an antenna to relay, but you can get it out there. Now these days, we're becoming closer and closer to Starlink, which is satellite based internet, and hopefully we won't have that problem. We'll be sort of in a position where our brother found himself, where we can take advantage of existing infrastructure to get our internet to our site. Once we get it there, we can do what we want to do around. Believe those antenna don't cost that much. Believe it. We can shed it, move it around our property, and actually, when I say don't cost that much, they cost somewhere between just a few hundred, $300 or $400, and $1,000 for one antenna that has the capacity is enormous. And how do you power it? We were looking at powering those with solar and wind, as the brother said. A lot of times you see wind generation at the for the lights in the city. We had wind generation at the complex where we stayed. We had solar and they had wind. They had little turbines attached, and you would see them spinning. And they also had the solar, so they had a combination. So we definitely will be using as many of the latest technology in order to fulfill our needs to have renewable energy and so forth. But go ahead, brother. Anyone else?
I'm gonna talk about that because you were talking about the antennas.
Right.
So when the internet company came out and I had the internet brought to my office, and I said, "Can you run it to my house? And can you run it to the masjid?" And they were like, "Yeah, we can do that." They would put in extra lines, but they said I would have to pay for service at each location. So that would be 3 services.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." So I got to TP links. I got the links And I have the 5 gigahertz one, so I can shoot my signal 5 miles.
Hmm.
So, and I'll put a picture in the
Hmm.
group.
Right,
I have a pole right outside my office. I
right.
have the TP link up there. The wires come down hooked to my system. I shoot it down to my house. There's another pole there. The wires, so they can make a hard connection.
Right,
So
right.
um,
That's right.
I got the cheaper version.
Hmm.
So the speed in my house is 100 megabytes, which is way more than you need. I mean, for example, to teach an online class, you only need like 25. So, and that system cost me $100.
That's right.
So that's a smaller system. If you wanted to shoot it beyond 5 miles, then you have to pay more money for a bigger system.
Right,
But as
right.
long as you have one established, connection, shooting it for 5 miles, $100, no problem
Exactly.
whatsoever.
Exactly. Excellent. Yep. Oh yeah, by the way, I think Bilal was asking a question, can homes be built from this talking about the containers, I think, and how much do the containers cost? I think the cost of containers is going to be determined mostly by where you are. I think that's an important factor there. But what's the average that I've found containers somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000. Some can cost you more. It depends on whether they're new and what have you. Here in Baltimore, in the area of Baltimore, by the shipyard, I often find the 20 footers. And by the way, a 20 foot, I was looking at a 20 footer as an indoor, as a walk-in refrigerator. We make our own walk-in refrigerator because all you need, you can do it like they do the, what do they call those? The root cellars. So you take the 20 foot and you cover it with dirt. It's not having a lot of weight on it, so you don't have to worry about that. But you create a root cellar basically with an air conditioner in it, right? And that air conditioner will be do enough to keep it nice and cold, cool in there, and it's going to be naturally cool because you've created that root cellar effect, and it's covered. Got it in a shaded area, maybe under some trees or whatever, over in the tree line, that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah, definitely. Go ahead, answer that question for us, Sharif.
Well, for Bilal, for the yes. So originally I was going to build container houses, but now my structure is a combination of container house and cob. Um, to build a house, a container house, I priced it out, and like the brother said, it's going to vary from location to location how much a shipping container is going to cost. So my first shipping container cost me $3,250. I don't live near a port. So if you live closer to a port, it's going to be cheaper. Shipping containers have doubled in my area now. So the
Mm-hmm.
brother that just moved here, he spent like 6,000 and something for his shipping container. But back to the breakdown, it costs about $10,000 to convert one shipping container into a living area. So you're going to have basically a small home that's 320 square feet. You'd have windows, doors, insulation, everything that you would need. Um, if it's just you and a spouse, I would put two together. So then, you'd have basically two containers, one slightly offset. You can have two bedrooms in the back. You cut out the wall. You'd have like a living room space, your bathroom, and then the front half where the doors would open. You could leave the doors there, have sliding glass door, and then because it's offset, you'd have like a mud room when you first come in, and you wouldn't get your house dirty or anything like that. So you're looking at $20,000 right there. Um, as an average cost. So about $20,000 for two containers to be made into a house, and that's fully insulated with spray foam insulation.
Excellent.
Any any others? Any other questions?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum, brother.
So
Bismillah. Just to salam alaikum Yasin, mashallah, it's good to see you, brother. Always
No,
good to see you.
likewise. Alhamdulillah.
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 But yeah, I'm just trying to find out about this whole container slash barn dominium, just slash whatever kind of what would the best kind of house be to construct on a piece of property. And I've seen several different, even the 3D print houses that I think Yasin posted videos. I've seen some videos on those. So what would you advise or say would be the best kind of structure for living for a pretty large size family?
Okay, well, in my opinion, the one that's going to be most affordable. Okay, I know it's going to sound like a lame answer, but whatever is most affordable and readily available in your area. So, for example, I live in New Mexico, uh, and the UV rays from the sun are killer here. This is why traditionally in New Mexico, nobody has a wooden house. They have adobe, they have cob, um, they have rock, they don't have wood. So nobody would build a log cabin here. That's something that they would do up north. So your environment dictates the type of house that would be best suited for you. So, Brother Bilal, where are you?
Mashallah, sure. Are you with the Andalusia project? That's your project?
Yeah, that's me.
I came through there, man. I was driving through, mashallah, and I saw the sign. I'm like, because Yasin got me on this like years ago when I came back from Saudi. But mashallah, I came through there, but I didn't get a chance to see you, but I did come through. But I'm in Minnesota now, but I'm trying to move down towards the Texas area. So it won't be too far from you, but it'd be similar kind of climate as far as where I'm trying to do it.
Well, we've come a long way since probably when you came through.
I'm sure, man. I think you had like 1 or 2 cows at that point, man. And yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So Minnesota, so we're talking, cold weather.
No, not anymore. We're talking Dallas now. I'm leaving Minnesota, man, going to Dallas area. So I'll be closer to your kind of environment.
Okay, so Dallas. Whew, Dallas is expensive, man.
Outskirts, I've been looking at different areas around like that whole Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, which is really, really cool on the outside. You can get 30 minutes to an hour. You can still get to the city, like in the Kaufman, Collin, and the Rockwall counties. Those areas are very good for land acquisition.
Actually, I was over there because I had to do a permaculture site evaluation. So I've been to that area and I was looking at some different things. And yeah, the land was pretty nice and there were some good deals. If you do decide to get land out there, make sure you really walk the property. And there are fissures, basically cracks in the land. Okay, make sure you stay away from land like that. It looks like really like just cracks in the ground, and those are bad soil conditions, and you want to stay away from that. Okay, so back to the housing. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would probably go with a earth bag, cob, container type of house. And you can build those over time. So for example, if you're doing a container house, you can get one container down, you can finish that, another container down, put it next to it, weld the top plates together, cut out the inside.
Right.
And depending on how big your family is, you can make do, and then you can keep adding to it as time goes by.
Exactly. Yep.
One of the things that my aunt did and her husband when I was younger, I thought it was the coolest thing as a kid. But they bought their property, and the first thing they did was they built their garage. And the garage was actually a studio apartment.
Right.
So it had a bathroom in there in the back corner. There was the kitchen area, and then a big open floor plan. And they would work on the rest of the house.
Yes.
But they had a place to live.
Yes, that's right.
And then once the house, a part of that was ready, they started transitioning. So the front end of the studio was made that they could take off the front end, and they were able to put a garage door in. So
Yep.
now they had a garage that had a bathroom and a kitchen facility. And then they had, their house. So always think of what you can do now and then how that space can be used and it can be transitioned into something later. So you don't have to have your forever house in the very beginning. It doesn't have to be perfect. Have something where you can have a base to work from and then transition to something else.
I want you to guys that, and please, if you're not in the Telegram group, please join. There's a video in there, and it's called, the name of it is Post Frame Home Interior Framing. And I want you to watch this guy with basically what we're talking about is throwing up a steel building. Now, his steel building must have been, I think it was probably about 40 by 50 or 40 by 60. Now, that's a nice size steel building. Probably depends on where you are, how much it costs. You can get kits or you can get the professionals come in and do it. Could probably cost him around $40,000 or upwards on the upside. Could have cost him about 50,000 depending. But he went in and he framed out. He was a framing and a finish carpenter. The guy is a beast. When you look at the video, you will see what this guy probably saved $150,000 just in his own labor and and what have you. But it's an excellent video. I encourage you to watch it. And for me, it's a motivator because it was something that I thought of years ago before I knew anything about a barn dominium. I thought about what Sharif was just saying. Where they built the garage. I was talking about throwing up a steel building, about a 2,000 maybe 3,000 square foot steel building, and taking the back side. So I was thinking 50 feet, 40 by 50 or 30 by 50, right? And taking that back end of the building and framing a two-story, basically an apartment inside of the place. So coming out 25 feet if it was 50 feet deep, and then leaving the other 25 feet for the storage of materials and what have you while we're building our regular home. That's what I thought. Throw it up and make it a place, like you were saying, to stay out of the elements, a place you could kind of be if you needed to be there or wanted to be there in the process while you're building your regular home. But now that I learned about barn dominiums, the idea has changed. I'm like, dude, that's a concept. And so my idea now, and if you see this guy frame out this building, and he did it. The reason why I say he's a beast is because he did it by himself. I would have at least had me one other guy to hold up the. You just watch what he does. He's a guy. He's probably in his 30s. Early 30s, and you see him. A lot of energy. He reminds me of myself when I used to do drywall. We used to work 16 hours a day, but drywall finishing is a lot easier than what this guy was doing, and he did the work, and it's amazing. So definitely check that out. It's a motivator. It gives you some concept of what can happen, maybe on a smaller level. Good. Any other? Let's see who we got here. Any questions in the room? Anyone? Abu Khanaz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How's it going, man? It's been what, 30 years? Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. Tayyib. Let's see. Why they can sound Telegram? Yeah, please do that. Join that. Get on that Telegram with us. So, if there are any other ideas, questions, comments, concerns regarding this project, and just let me make a couple of statements here. We're at somewhere around 15 families now. I think it's 13 or 15. We're going to have a better idea because we're creating a spreadsheet for those committed families. We'll make it available for people to be able to access it. It's going to be something that all of the families who are involved can see, and so an update as we go forward. And so what we're looking at doing is when we get to that 25 family target, it's not that we can't have more families involved, but 25 is kind of our target. It's not a cutoff, rather, it is a milestone that we've set that when we reach that, we can actually start looking in a serious way to get the land. And so once we get it, there's some steps to take, and all of that will be discussed amongst those families and agreed upon in terms of the the importance of certain steps to happen. And once we find that property and we agree, we're talking about buying it cash out. Boom, it's ours. We don't have any question about is there any riba involved and so forth. Once we get it, as I said, this is phase one completed. Phase two begins the survey, the home site identification, the actual acquisition of certain machinery, as well as other things that have to be done. And we talked about that. The last video was something going to happen before we buy the land is we're going to have the soil tested and perk tests and all that kind of stuff before we make that final step. But when we make that step, we're confident that we've done our due diligence, we've checked the code, and we've checked the history of the land and the water table. All that stuff has been checked, and we're moving forward. So that as we identify properties, and like I said, I'm looking to be the first to break ground, but I wouldn't mind if someone beat me to it. But the thing is that we want to start working on the property as ASAP, as soon as we're able to. So each phase, and again, it'll be an agreed upon approach by everyone. It'll be up to each individual family as to when and how they build. With consultation with our brain trust, those members of our brain trust, and they will be professionals. There'll be people who have knowledge through training, experience, and education that are going to advise us. And so as we move forward, you'll have the access to that. You'll also have access to project planning and plans. The plans we'll be working with for those that require a plan, a layout. We'll work with you. That's where your project manager will come into effect and bringing about those things, discussing it with you personally and you and your family, and making those things happen. We'll also now, as far as how the family will finance the construction of their home and what type of home they construct, those are going to be personal decisions. Maybe you got a bank account. We have a sister, she's talking about selling her house and where she is and moving to a house she has in another part of the country while this happens. So she wants to create her funds that way. Some people might have other ways in which they can create the funds. That's going to be a personal decision for each and every family. And there'll be an ability for families who say, you know what, I want to build it as I go. I want to build it from my pocket as I'm able to do certain amount of money, etc. So the close-up phase of the house is first and most important. What does that mean? Framing the house out, roof, windows, doors, everything is capped up, and it can sit there until you're ready to do the next phase. What's the next phase? The interior works, rather than mechanicals, your plumbing, your electric, your heat, your HVAC, whatever. However you're building, whether you're building a Cob house or whether you're building. Now with the Cob house, I think that again, our consultant on that, he's going to tell us you may have to go to a certain phase, like to wrap it up, close it up, make it waterproof, to have that drainage or whatever the case may be, if you're going to let it set there before you really get to finishing off the rest. It's a lot easier. That's something that expert will help us with. But for us, so that's kind of where we are with this. We're looking to bring more and more people. We're looking to bring more and more people in, so please share the information. I'm excited about it. We have a number of families that are excited about it that I see. I don't know if he's still here, but one of our brothers was here earlier. His wife was on the last meeting. Brother Mikael, I'm not sure if he's still with us, but we have a number of people who are very excited about the project. I'm hoping that we get some support, at least from those we need support no matter what. When I say support, it could be moral support, making dua, informing others, etc., so that we grow interest and uh, we grow the notoriety of the project. You know, how many people know about it. The more people that know about it, the more people are likely to want to be part of it. Inshallah. Is my mic muted? Okay, okay.
No, Abu Kanaz, his is muted.
Uh, right. Let's see.
And he had a question.
Okay, yeah, go right ahead.
Can you unmute him? I don't think he's aware how to
Okay,
unmute
hold up
himself.
for a second. Can I unmute him here? Add da. No, no. I doesn't have anything. Ask to unmute. I think that's all I can do.
If you click ask to unmute, then it'll pop up on his screen, and then he can
Okay.
click it.
Ask to unmute. Okay. Did it. That was the second time actually. So you don't do you see it now? Oh, okay. Now, okay. طيب. Now, تفضل. Yes, he wants to, I think I'm understanding he's going to do it on the phone. Right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
No problem. Let's see. Who else do we have? Any other questions? Who can see? Okay, everyone. All right. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, Barakallahu feek for your time and efforts. Now, mashallah, barakallahu feek. And thank you all for your time and the efforts. I am asking in space and time where there's no guest. Oh, yeah. So one of the things that I'm not sure when this question was asked, it looked like it was asked not long ago. Okay, well, a little while ago. We've been on for a minute, so I don't want to keep a brother too long, but I'd also want us to try to maximize any questions or comments and what have you have. So one of the things is about energy. We want to use as much as we possibly can uh, renewable, sustainable means to produce everything that we, whether it's our food, whether it's our energy, um, whether it's our building products and so forth. We really want to try to use, and that's why we're looking for land more importantly with timber so that we can, because timber is money, so as you buy land you can extract the value and wealth out of the land through harvesting the timber and using it for creating your own lumber, maybe your own furniture even. I mean, there's so much you can do with that. Additionally, what we were talking about earlier, some of the byproducts like sawdust, like mulch and things like that, we can create from our own land. So this is very important that we learn all the methods to utilize the land for as much as we can. Someone mentioned log houses earlier. When you look at that video on that machinery, and believe that machine, it cost the one that we're looking at in the video is less than $3,000, about $2,700. Beautiful. The one I'm looking at really purchasing will be a little bit more expensive, about $4,500, right? When I say 45, about 4,000, 35 to $4,000. But what happens there is that we're able, if you want to build a log house, the cost could be a lot cheaper. If we have the timber there, we can simply, if you see him, the guy is doing lump, you can say, man, that's a log house log right there. Boom, throw it down, because you shave both sides, you create that surface that you can set right on top of the other one, right? And you do the log house construction thing. It's if that's what you want, right? If you start looking at cost versus your ability to pay and our ability to utilize the land. So part of it being part of this project is that you have use of of the land and its resources, whether it's the water, whether it's the sunlight. We want to set up solar collection area, not just on your particular homestead area, but we may have a general one. Wind power generation. It grows, and as we were saying, there's some of these things that we can do on our own. That if we want to have water on the land, I think it's absolutely necessary that we have either a creek or a stream. Very important. Not only water in the as we drill wells, but we definitely want water on the land to utilize as well. So there's a lot of things. Then there's some economic projects, some projects that we want to do that are going to earn the community money. So there are a number of those potentially something that ultimately, given enough time, we can become a self-contained economy in a lot of ways. Bringing money from outside and as well. So anyway, anyone have any last words? Any comments? Yes. The, can you?
Now, yes, now,
Oh,
alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
alaikum
Bro,
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh Yassine, it's really, really good to see y'all. Sheikh Bilal, I hear your voice. Subhanallah, man, it's really good to see y'all. It's Isha over here. I'm still in Riyadh. So my question is about because you was mentioning Sheikh Sharif about the outhousing and the bucket, So now I'm over here, very lazy guy, astaghfirullah, being in Riyadh, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and the three brothers, y'all know how it is over here and how it can make you. I'm very inexperienced in something like homesteading. Now, if I ever came back to the States, I would love to do it. And I mean, how do you even get started? That's one. And I didn't want to ask anything that I can get answered through the videos that you put up. And two, it was very interesting. You was mentioning about the bucket. Go to the bathroom, you empty that bucket. Now, if you got a bunch of kids, you're there, nowhere. It's cold as I don't know what outside. How you gonna do that? I mean,
no problem. Okay, so I got a bunch of kids. And alhamdulillah, the brother next door, he got a bunch of kids. Kids need responsibility. Okay? Make everybody accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, so my neighbor said like this. He was clear. He told his kids, I'm not dumping your bucket. That's your responsibility. You need to dump it. You get up, you go out, you dump it. So you have to get a system in place. Okay, so it's cold. You might say, okay, well, I'm going to dump my bucket in the afternoon when it's warmer. So that means, okay, so your bucket's being used from afternoon to afternoon. So it's low, and it won't be full in one day. So to fill a 5-gallon bucket could take 2, 3, 4 days, depends on how many people are using it. Okay, so they just empty their bucket in the afternoon, the warmest part of the day. But you make everybody responsible. When I first came to my homestead, this is the first time I met you, so I'm going to say this. For those who have heard it before, you can ignore me. So I used to go by, the American Bedouin, because we came out to my property and we lived in tents. And we were in tents for some months. Then we went to travel trailers, then a mobile home. Now we're working on our forever house. But showering, if you take a gallon milk jug and put water in it and you leave it sit in the sun, it will heat up. And by the afternoon, it's like burning hot. I ain't got time to fill the bottles up for all my kids and put them in the sun. So I told them, you're responsible. And if you don't have hot water, you're going to be washing in some freezing cold water because you are going to wash.
Mm-hmm.
Make everybody be responsible for themselves. And I don't give breaks to little kids. Like my son is a slightly different topic, but he learned to slaughter when he was 4 years old. If you're going to eat, I started off, I helped him, but he's slaughtering chickens. You're going to be responsible for different aspects of the homestead.
I had a lamb in mind when you said slaughter. So okay, it was a chicken. Okay.
Yeah. We got to start him off
Starting with a
small. Come
chicken,
on,
right?
Chef. But my daughter, she can slaughter. She can reach up into the chest cavity, grab the esophagus, come straight down. She can feel up there. She knows a heart. She knows like, bam, where everything is. But
MashaAllah.
I give no breaks to
Allahu
boys,
Akbar.
to girls. You're going to
Allahu
eat,
Akbar.
you're going to wash, you're going to know. Because if I'm not around, like you got to be able to do this
That's
stuff.
right.
Like I took a trip to Jersey, and I was helping the masjid there for their Islamic studies program because my master's degree is in education. So I did some teacher training for them. So I was gone for like a week. My homestead can't stop. They have to, like, everything has to run.
Right.
So my kids, they know everything. I say this with pride. My daughters are the best men on the homestead.
Well,
So, I mean, yeah, but make them be responsible. Because, like you said, I was in Saudi too. And my reality of what real life is was leaving the kids. You know, because alhamdulillah, you know, we had good jobs. We had tax-free salary. They're
Yeah.
paying for our tickets. They're paying for our housing. They're paying for everything,
Right.
you know, and no, they have to realize we got to work. We got to do stuff. So give them responsibility. Uh, you're responsible. Take that bucket, dump it, rinse it out, put that water in there, put the sawdust in there, get it ready for the next time.
Barakallahu feek.
Okay,
Okay, and you know, subhanAllah, I know we want to wrap this up and whatnot, Sheikh Yassin. Like, so it goes back to, like you were saying, Sheikh Sharif, about the land, the type of land. I'm like just totally blank with anything, the reality of homesteading. And, you know, like you said, you know, you've been over here, you know how it is and whatnot.
Okay.
And my kids are a little older and stuff like that. So now, what you know, what should I look for if I ever came back? Where would I go? What are you looking at? What is there a prospect of a certain plot of land? Where, you know, or is everybody for themselves? How's it going to do? How's it going? What's going on?
Okay, so I know the Brothers Project, like you said earlier, they're looking from Pennsylvania down to North Carolina, correct?
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
So that's a good area, you know, with regards to temperature, rainfall, closeness to cities. I never discussed this with you, but an important thing is if you're going to have, say, any type of agricultural business, how close do you want to be to a city if you plan on selling products to the local community? Also, are there businesses, colleges, health food stores there? Is that place saturated already? Will you not make a difference, or will you make a difference? When I came out here, I figured, okay, I'm gonna have my cows and I'm gonna milk and I'm gonna sell milk to the local population. And in the beginning, I gave a half a gallon of milk for free to people to try to, you know, entice them. And I couldn't believe what happened. So many people said they don't drink milk. And I was like, no, it's free. And they were like, no, I don't drink milk. And I was just like in shock because I didn't do enough research. So
Right.
research is key. Make sure that whatever you're going to produce is going to be in demand.
Gotcha.
And if it's not in demand, you might need something else. Also, produce things that if they don't sell, you need them. So don't grow something that's so exotic that it's going to make a lot of money, but if there's no, you know, demand for it, you're stuck with, you know, something that you're not going to eat. And I will add these and I'll send it so you can see it. So some of the books, okay, that I've researched say you can farm, okay? So Joe Salatin, is well known for his family. They took the worst land in Virginia and like transformed it into being like the premier agricultural spot in the U.S. You got international people coming to learn his methodology. So that's one thing. So you need to have a good library, but before you buy stuff, check online, PDFs. You get a lot of stuff for free.
Right.
Uh, we need to get back to who we are. Okay. So an Islamic book. Okay. And this is going to talk about, different building techniques and how the Muslims were at the forefront of sustainability. And
Yes.
it's short and it's for little kids, but alhamdulillah, it's going to show you like the history of how did the Muslims like have ice during the Crusades, drinking ice water in the desert. How could they make ice cream? Like how? And you're going to see the technology, and some of that stuff is spoken about in this book. Uh, Another one, this is a newer one, urban gardening. Okay. So there's this guy, people think, oh, I'm living in the city. How can I be a farmer? How can I have a garden? Small spaces, they're going to break down all kinds of stuff for you here. Uh, Another book I got, this is a really nice one. Okay. So the self-sufficient life and how to
Right.
live it.
Yes.
They're going to break it down, and he's going to give you an example of a 5-acre homestead, a 10-acre homestead, 20-acre, and how to design it. So I have a ton of books. There's a lot of resources. Um, how old are your kids, Abu Kanas?
Well, the oldest here is he's only 13. He's 13. I'm gonna say only 13, but he's 13. He's getting bigger and stuff and whatnot. And here he's not growing up here in Saudi Arabia. We homeschool him and stuff like that. Not much to do, so not a lot of skills, and don't get out much, So
No problem. 13, I'm going to tell you. So when I was in Saudi, I lived in Medina, alhamdulillah. We had, it was crazy. One of the only villas in Medina, because they don't have them, right? And we had this one little area. We were raising chickens, okay? But if you don't have an area like that, you can grow strawberries. You can grow strawberries in containers, okay? So you get potting soil, you get the strawberry crowns, you can hang it up, and basically, as the strawberries get longer, the runners are coming down with the berries, and it's just going to be like a flowering plant. This is something that your son can do very easily. There's so many different things. So you can go and buy some seeds. You can germinate wheat, mung beans. If you like Chinese food and you like, the bean sprouts,
mm-hmm.
take those, you start soaking them and you sprout them, and you're going to have he can learn all different types of farming skills in a small space in Saudi Arabia, no problem whatsoever. He and other children that are younger, they can read and they can see this. Oh, okay,
Right.
well, we can do this. So they can start being educated, because basically I split up the duties with all my kids. I'm like, you're studying this, this. Come back and tell me, because I ain't got time to read all these books.
Right.
Right.
So divide it, we have to be, managers and directors. And,
Yeah.
these are the subordinates, and everybody
Yeah.
has to, kick in.
And
Yeah.
and I would say, Abu Khanaz, check this out. I would say, and one of the things we really want to do, and like the brother was mentioning, when I was in Saudi, as you got tax-free income. They take care of pretty much everything because I had an executive position. They even took care of my home bills, my gas, electric, and all that. And I knew a lot of guys working for Aramco. Those jokers was having so much money that they were trying to figure out, where do I put it, right?
Yeah.
Well, an opportunity comes where you can begin gradually to be part of a community, start creating your space now, where when you come back, you can literally just roll up to the driveway, man, and pull up into the space
Right.
and walk in, right?
Right.
Or at the same time, if you build it and you're still there, we're doing Airbnb. You could rent it out. We inshallah, well, one of the things we'll be having are retreats. So people can come and that space can be rented out. You can earn money from it while you're still there. And so you turn it into basically an investment. So there are a lot of different, what I want us to understand is that really there's so many opportunities here. I looked at a guy who's building, he's in North Carolina, he builds tiny houses, right? And he has these, you can move around little tiny house communities, Also, we're going to be doing some other projects on the land that's going to benefit the community. Like I said, we want our own economy. We want to be able to sustain self-sustainable environment, while at the same time providing, as the brother was saying earlier with the milk, one of the things we want to, I like, my dream and hope is that we start a vertical farming project, right? Build a building, maybe 10,000 square feet. I'm sorry, 5 to 10,000 square feet, vertical farm. And if you ever look at the video, I don't know if I placed any in here, but because we're not at that stage, I don't want to put too much information in there where it's like, oh man, it's inundate. But look up vertical farming, and you'll see how it is it is just an amazing small one. I looked at one guy, he's out west, he had a small one. It looked like it was about 5,000 square feet. Beautiful. See what he's growing. His crops, green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, this, that, and some of his crops are ready for harvest within 14 to 45 days, depending on which crop you're growing, right? Then I looked at the guy who's doing microgreens. 7 days. 7 days. And he's talking about how much money he's making out of his basement. He's got a basement of about I don't know, it's just a basement in a house, a regular kind of house. Maybe he's got 800 or to 1,000 square feet there. And he's got all these microgreens. He says he's making, all this money. The figure, you're like, dude, you can live on that. So there's a lot of opportunity and as our brother was pointing out, look at the market around. His lesson was he thought he was going to go into the milk business when in fact nobody's really drinking milk. So, but green leafy vegetables and going to the market, people are looking for non-GMO, organic, local sourced, etc., etc. No pesticides, all that stuff. We're inside, and you're growing 365 days a year. Right? So that's the project I'm dreaming of. I'm like, and we already have people involved who are ready to take part in that project, and also we already have investors, people who are ready to invest in the project because they understand that this is the future of agriculture. There's no doubt. Globally, if you look at it, when you look it up, you'll find that there's some certain countries, and I think somewhere in Europe, might have been New Zealand or somewhere like that. They're like the leaders in this thing. They have beautiful projects in indoor farming. Wonderful, And so we're looking at doing some things like that on our land, So inshallah, there's a lot of opportunity to begin stacking your bricks, building your after Saudi life, and be able to come back and integrate right into a Muslim community, a township, whatever. We're all working there together and working on our own economy. That's the important thing. Educating our youth. That next generation, your 13-year-old should never have to fill out an employment application, because we want to create business.
Right.
Opportunity is here, especially in this time that we're living in. Opportunity is much greater than it was when you were his age, right? When I was his age. So it's that's what we're talking about doing, bringing us into the 21st century and getting us out of, like, when I left Saudi Arabia, I had a really decent job. I was making really good money and didn't have to spend a lot. I didn't have an opportunity. This is something we need, right? I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of one. There probably were some things out there. I'd even, but anyway, my point is this, because I could go on, I could
Yeah.
go on and on with this. But the thing is this, is that we need to recognize that in our, like when I say, when you go to the masjid and there are 2, 3, 400 people in the men sitting in that musalla, who's out there? I years going back to my days in New York, I used to look around and yeah, so talking about the 80s, I used to think we need a directory, a database, so we know who's out there, so that we know when we want to put something together. Here's the brother that builds websites. Here's the brother. He's a lawyer. This brother here is as a nurse. This brother, an architect. This that. We need to know who we have. And so one of the things that we want to concentrate here is really trying to make sure that we have at least a nucleus of people who have expertise, whether they're directly involved with our project, like being there, living there, or and invested in it, or whether they're just a resource that we call on, like our brother Sharif. He's, as I said,
Right.
the brain trust. We need that,
Yeah.
because if we're going to go to that next phase, and we want to build, as I was saying earlier, trades, but also I teach IT. That's why I left Saudi. I said I'm going back to the States to retool for the 21st century. So we come back. I come back to learn. I got into telecommunications, where now I've been into this field for over 20 years. So the thing is this, is that when we begin to build, whether it's coding, network security, cyber security, teaching, server management, that sort of thing. Things that can be done remotely, and additionally, things that you can contract your abilities out and not work for one company, but have contracts with multiple companies. We have brothers who are doing that today, and we need to sort of incorporate that to the point that we begin to replicate ourselves and to build and so forth. So that you understand the point that I'm saying. I think everyone understands we have so much potential and resources, but we're not using them. Someone else is using them to create their wealth. We have to take
Mm.
command and control of our resources, of our abilities, and our families have to be along. They got to understand this thing, but they won't see it until we actually have something tangible. That's when people say, "Oh, sit back," and then, inshallah, it will be an exponential growth in this idea, and then we'll be in a position to go around, as I was saying, and help others. Because this is a demonstration project. We want this to be something that people look at and see the potential, the abilities that we have already, and that, and we all know that when you go in this direction, that's why we call it the Sharia land and farm project. It's a homesteading, all of that. But the first word is Sharia, the Islam. That when we go at it this with the right niyyah and the right approach, following the book and the sunnah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can open up gates, doors, opportunities that we didn't even imagine it. You get that ring on the phone, you get that letter, whatever the case, that email, and somebody says, boom, they just dropped the big one on you. And you can't wait to tell the community, say, look, this is what we can, and let's move forward. And we've
Yeah.
pre-identified all of our assets, our resources and abilities. So that's
No.
that's what we're hoping and praying, and we're asking everyone to make dua and ask Allah subhanahu. That way, also, as our brother who said he's inviting us to be part of, what is it, the Muslim Homestead National?
The conference.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yes, Muslim Homesteaders of America.
Muslim Homestead. I didn't know there was such a. I didn't know there was such a group. The Muslim Homesteaders of America. Muslims locking arms and supporting each other. That's what we need to do. And I think if we did this, that the results, the benefit is enormous, unfathomable
Yeah.
actually, because we have no idea of what us coming together on this level would really do for us.
It's very, 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 very important as well, especially for the future, the near future,
Exactly.
especially.
Now,
The future is scary. Uh, Prices are rising like you wouldn't believe. Just you wouldn't
yes,
believe. Prices are
yes,
doubling, and uh, without knowing how to take care of ourselves and to produce these things, then we're at the mercy of whoever has control.
that's it.
Uh, there was a question that was, and I remembered it. I don't know how long ago it was. Didn't not in the group. Somebody had asked about rabbits,
Uh-huh. Yeah, brother
and
Hanif
they
was
asked if I had rabbits or why not. So
right.
I'll address that. Um, I had rabbits, um, and I don't have them anymore. One, I like chicken. Okay, rabbit meat is similar to chicken, but it's not chicken, and I like chicken. So
Right.
I'm going to grow what I'm going to eat regularly. Two, I was raising them outside. We have a building for them, an outbuilding and everything. But in the winter, um, it gets so cold that the kids were dying, the babies were dying. So I'm not going to have a situation where I'm just going to have dead animals all over the place. So we decided, well, we don't eat that much rabbit, and we need to have better housing facilities for them. So we're not going to have them. Would I get them again? Yes, because their manure is like platinum. It's better than gold. I used rabbit manure as when I plant my trees. So I had pinon trees, and I took rabbit manure, put it down by the root system, covered up everything, and boom, those things. It's the best fertilizer that we had because there's little balls, and when they get wet, they just release a little bit more each time. So you get meat. Uh, my daughters they dried the skins out
Hmm.
so to make covers for the mushaf.
Right, right,
So got
right,
rabbit
right,
skin mushaf
right.
covers. Uh,
Lord.
so we're different here. My girls are different. Uh, so yeah, got meat, you got mushaf covers, and you got fertilizer. Um, and
Mm.
just one thing, a lot of people they really need to study animals if they're going to have animals ahead of time because people think, oh, they're going to have the rabbits and they're going to be running around playing together. No, it might seem cruel to us, but you have to separate them. You cannot have the males with the females. They all have to be by themselves or they will kill each other. And when you breed, you have to take the female to the male's cage. If you take the male to the female's cage, she will kill him. So there's a whole lot of things that you have to study ahead of time. Um, and this Disney picture of the animals running and playing is not reality. Um, People think certain things are cruel. For example, you hear people saying cow's milk for little baby cows. Um, the cow will produce enough milk for the baby and for humans. And we know from Islam it's permissible to drink. But something that people don't realize, your cow, your little calf can get sick by drinking too much milk, by being greedy. And you can help produce a better and healthier animal if you regulate it. It's going to sound kind of strange, but you can actually help produce beautiful, uh, animals if you regulate it. And those animals will be loyal to you, love you like you wouldn't believe. Uh, so I'm going to add a picture into the group. If I can find it real quick here. Uh, huh, got to go back a bit. Animals are just if you raise them with love and care, you have like nothing to worry about. So I'm going to share three pictures here in the group just to show you that you have nothing to fear if you take care of your animals.
Lord.
And the one picture there has got my son, and he's got the calf that is, she's about at that time, 300 pounds. And
Subhanallah.
like, there's nothing to worry about, you know? And the other picture that's above that little calf, you know, we actually, we bottle feed our calves. That way they bond to
Mm-hmm.
my daughters.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yes.
and they're easier later on when you want to make a milk cow. They will naturally just let you touch them and everything. There's like no issue. So that human interaction is paramount.
Excellent. Taib Ikwan, we're coming up on door here in a little bit, and what
Oh,
I
that's right.
want
You're
to,
on the East Coast.
yeah, we're on the East Coast. So much as I'd love to continue on, in fact, but because there's so much good information here, but let's save some. Tuesday night, we have every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and every Saturday at 10 a.m. We have a meeting. We like to have a guest every week. Because that helps us, we like to have someone who can come and share information. Me, as you notice, I can talk, but it's not always it's not always going to be you understand what I'm saying. It's better to have a guest, someone who we can ask targeted questions of, who has an expertise that I don't have and maybe none of us have, to bring that guest in who has experience. And it's always great to have someone who is doing it, has been doing it, has experience that that they can relate to us, that we can benefit from as we move forward. So what I'm going to ask everyone out there to do, if you know someone who would be a great guest, let us know so that we can bring them on and allow them to share with us. That's what we need to do. Today, our brother Sharif, the Muslim homesteader, has, as he has been, he just shares so much great information. He gives us a lot of work to do in terms of the books that he recommended and the videos and things like that we're going to be looking at. That's going to keep us busy and inform us a bit. And I think we have people who we're just going to keep this moving. We're going to keep it moving, keep it growing, invite people, try to help grow our group. As I said, that's important. Right now, I think we have about 40 members. It says 42 members up here. Um, we'd like to make that, I'd like to, especially with the families. We're looking for 25 families. We have now about 13 or 14. I think we might have 15. But anyway, this week we're going to look at confirming all of families that are committed. And then we want families that are interested in the project and who want to play a role. Because our brother Sharif last week, he suggested uh, that there are some ways to uh, make opportunities even for those who can't be one of those 25 families at the time, but they do have an interest and they want to be part of a project, this project or one similar to it, maybe the next iteration of this project, because we don't intend to stop. Inshallah, with this project, we intend to keep it growing to support other similar projects and so forth. So we want to build. We would like to make this like a clearinghouse for people, Muslims who are of this mindset, and to build it. So that's it's we're looking beyond this. We're not looking for just ourselves, but we're looking something that hopefully Muslims in every corner of the world. We have a brother who will maybe inshallah be joining us. He's in Mecca now, but he's from Guyana. He likes the project. He'd like to do it in Guyana. So it's an opportunity. We have a brother who wants to do it in Africa, Kenya, brother. So it's so many, possibilities here. But this is the one, inshallah, we want to kind of make it, like I said, a demonstration project and show what we can do and how we can create a template a path to doing this in different locations with different environments and so forth.
I got a quick question here. Mustafa, he said, can you please send me an invitation to the Homesteader group? I'm not sure uh, what he means by that.
Yeah, who asked that question? Let's get him to
It's
clarify.
it's in the chat. I just don't. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Muslim farmers group,
Ah,
but I'm
yes,
not
okay.
on a homesteader group.
Okay, so yeah, this particular group, we'll put a link in here for you to be able to join our Telegram group, which is the Sharia Land and Farm Project. Now, the Sharia Land and Farm Project group, inshallah, will be participating uh, this year, and inshallah, as we go forward with the National Muslim Homesteaders group. But this is basically a project that is about Muslims coming together and homesteading and building a community or a township or whatever you want to call it here. Uh, but I'll definitely put I'll put it in the chat right now, hopefully, and if you have any questions, you can put them there. This also allow you to be able to ask questions, get answers. Um, additionally, you'll be able to. Let me see here. What? Additionally, I'm trying to multitask. I'm not as good as I used to be. So the link I'm putting in now is for the Telegram group. Okay, I didn't label it, but there it is. Just dropped it in for everyone. So if you're not in the group, please join us there. And like I said, we have a meeting Tuesday. We have two a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesdays at 9 p.m., Saturdays at 10 a.m. And invite, share the link out, share the information. When you join the group, you're going to see information there, and some of that you can just share out to other Muslims, and hopefully they'll want, and as well as the videos that we post that are from the group. Like this is available on Facebook. It'll also be available as a YouTube link, which will be placed into the Telegram group as well, and you'll be able to share it out to people far and wide.
Assalamualaikum, man. Before we go, can you drop that the list of books or some pictures of them in the Pandarosa or in the Telegram group, inshallah?
So I'll put that information in the Telegram group.
All right, shukran.
You can expect it a little later today because as soon as we finish here, I gotta run across and help the brothers because they're putting up a chicken coop. So I told them that I'd help them get that. I dropped off, some of the stuff last night. We got to get that taken care of, and then Dr. Khalid Green, he's always needing help. He sent me a message this morning. He was like, "Hey, Sheikh, when you gonna come?" I was like, "Okay, so I got to get over to see him real quick." So.
Yeah.
But I will send that later today.
Tayyib, khair, inshallah. All right, share whatever you can about that chicken coop. We all.
Yeah, if we were going to, I was going to video it because I need it for my YouTube channel.
Right.
But they might have started already. So if they started already, then inshallah they're finished.
No.
But if not, then I'm going to do the video and then I will post that so you can see from the beginning to the end, and then go from there.
Assalamualaikum, really quick, Sherry, before you go, man. Do you have horses?
No, I don't have horses. And that's a very popular question. And I want to say this. Horses are a luxury item. Those are for people who have money to just spend and waste. Horses are beautiful, but how often do you use them? You ride them, but they're people in Uzbekistan, they drink horse milk, but most Americans don't drink horse milk.
And they eat horse meat.
Yes. But for us, horses are not producing anything for us. So, no. But my daughter's got motorcycles.
Allahu Akbar. Tayyib, khair, inshallah. Thanks everyone. I appreciate your attendance, and I hope you got some value out of this meeting. And look for you to be attend our future meetings as well, and to spread the word. And so, if there are no comments or questions that remain, join us Tuesday night, inshallah. So we're gonna say, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us all successful in this life and in the next. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us